the WWE Universe thought it had moved on. For months, Roman Reigns was gone. Silence. Rumors swirled that he was done with WWE for good, that the tribal chief had taken his final bow. Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, and others stepped into the spotlight, claiming the throne Roman once held with an iron fist. Fans booed, cheered, argued, but one thing was certain: Roman Reigns was not walking through that curtain again. Until Raw, September 29, 2025. The show was already chaotic. Seth Rollins was set to defend his World Heavyweight Championship in the main event against Damian Priest. The Judgment Day were lurking, Cody was teasing involvement, and fans expected interference, chaos, or maybe even a shocking cash-in. But what they got was something nobody could have predicted. The main event begins. Seth vs Priest tears the roof off. The match is physical, violent, and both men look like they're ready to destroy one another for gold. Priest nails South of Heaven. Seth kicks out. Seth lands a stomp. Priest barely survives. The crowd is electric. And then the lights cut out. The arena falls into darkness. The crowd gasps, phones light up, people scream. A low rumble fills the arena. Then, faintly, a familiar sound. A heartbeat. Thump, thump. The Titantron flickers. Glimpses of Roman's greatest moments flash across the screen: his WrestleMania conquests, the destruction of Cena, the wars with Brock, the Bloodline dominance. The crowd erupts into pure chaos. Half screaming, half booing, all in disbelief. Then the music hits. Roman Reigns' theme. The crowd explodes louder than it has in years. Roman Reigns walks out slowly, hoodie up, eyes cold, face carved from stone. He doesn't smile. He doesn't wave. He simply stares at the ring as if he's already claimed it. The commentary team loses their minds. He's back. The tribal chief is back. Roman Reigns is on Raw. But it's not just the return that shocks everyone, it's how he returns. Roman doesn't march straight to the ring. He stalks down slowly, his presence suffocating. Inside the ring, Priest and Seth stop dead, staring in disbelief. The referee looks lost. The crowd is deafening. Roman climbs into the ring, no music, no lights, no pyro, just raw energy and hatred. He looks at Seth Rollins, then at Damian Priest. The tension is unbearable. And then, he strikes. Superman punch to Priest. Out of nowhere. The crowd boos furiously. Seth stares in shock. Roman turns to him, face to face, Shield brother vs tribal chief. The tension feels nuclear. Will Roman attack Seth? Will he help him? Roman smiles. For the first time all night, he smirks. Then spear. Roman Reigns spears Seth Rollins in half. The arena explodes with rage. The referee calls for the bell, match thrown out, and Roman Reigns stands tall in the center of the ring, both Priest and Seth broken at his feet. The boos are deafening. The commentators scream. Roman Reigns has just returned to Raw and he's destroyed everything in his path. But Roman isn't finished. He grabs a mic, the crowd hurling venom at him, and simply says, "You thought I was done? You thought the tribal chief was finished? Raw doesn't belong to Seth Rollins. It doesn't belong to Judgment Day. Raw belongs to me. And I don't need a bloodline. I am the bloodline." The mic drops. Roman stands tall. Raw fades to black. Fans are furious, confused, and hooked. Twitter explodes. Roman Reigns is back trends worldwide. Clips of the spear flood social media. Fans argue, debate, rage. Has Roman returned as a lone wolf? Is he here to destroy Seth Rollins' reign once and for all? Or is this the beginning of something darker? The following week, the arena is buzzing louder than ever. Fans chant, boo, scream his name. Nobody is quiet. WWE cameras cut to the stage as Roman Reigns' music hits once again. He steps out slowly, wearing a leather jacket, no entourage, no bloodline. The look on his face is cold, calculated, untouchable. The crowd rains boos. Some cheer, but it's drowned out by venom. Roman doesn't care. He enters the ring, raises the mic, and the entire building leans in. "You all thought I was done. You all thought you could celebrate your heroes Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Damian Priest while forgetting about me. I gave you 3 years of dominance, and you cheered when I disappeared. You cheered when they said the tribal chief was finished. But I don't need acknowledgement anymore. I don't need your cheers. I don't need a family. Because the truth is simple, I'm back, and this entire roster is mine." The boos are thunderous. Roman smirks. But before he can continue, Seth Rollins' music hits. The crowd explodes into cheers. Seth limps down the ramp, taped up from the spear that nearly broke him in half, fury in his eyes. He grabs a mic and roars over the crowd. "You think you can just walk back in here, Roman? You think you can destroy my title defense, ruin my show, and steal my spotlight? You're not the tribal chief anymore. You're a coward who hides behind surprise attacks. And if you want this show, you're gonna have to take it from me in blood." The crowd goes insane. Roman tilts his head, amused, then replies calmly, "Coward? You're still the same little brother trying to stand in my shadow. But you've forgotten one thing, Seth, when it comes to you and me, you've never beaten me when it mattered most." The crowd gasps. Roman smirks. Seth seethes. Before the fight can break out, Damian Priest's music hits. The crowd groans as the Judgment Day walk out. Priest, flanked by Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, and Dominic, sneers at both men. "Enough of this tribal chief garbage. Enough of your visionary speeches. Raw doesn't belong to either of you, it belongs to Judgment Day. Roman, you had your time. Seth, you've overstayed your welcome. This is our era now, and we'll put both of you in the ground to prove it." The ring is surrounded. Judgment Day climbs onto the apron. Roman and Seth glance at each other, enemies by history, but allies in the moment. Priest, Balor, DOM, and Rhea swarm and suddenly fists fly. The brawl is chaos. Seth fights Priest. Roman drops Dominic with a Superman punch. Balor and Rhea double-team Rollins. Priest gets the upper hand until Roman spears him in half. The crowd explodes. Roman and Seth stand tall for a moment, glaring at each other as the smoke clears. Then Roman strikes. Spear to Seth. The boos shake the building. Roman isn't here to be a savior. He's here to destroy everyone. The following weeks are pure carnage. Roman Reigns interrupts matches, attacks anyone in his path, and delivers message after message. Raw is his kingdom. Cody Rhodes confronts him and gets destroyed. Sami Zayn tries to avenge Seth and gets brutalized. Kevin Owens tries to step up and is speared through the announce table. Roman isn't building alliances. He isn't recruiting soldiers. He's dismantling the roster piece by piece. WWE fans are outraged. The internet explodes with debates. Why bring Roman back like this? Is WWE burying Seth again? This is insane. But the numbers don't lie. Raw's ratings skyrocket. Every week, fans tune in to see who Roman destroys next. Finally, Seth Rollins, sick of the games, demands a one-on-one match with Roman at the upcoming premium live event. Roman doesn't hesitate. He accepts, but with a chilling stipulation: if I win, Seth Rollins never challenges for the World Heavyweight Championship again. The crowd gasps. Seth accepts without blinking. The build to the match is brutal. Roman systematically dismantles Seth's allies, ensuring Rollins walks into the fight with no backup. The promos are venomous. Roman calls Seth the failure of the Shield, while Seth calls Roman a parasite feeding on WWE Spotlight. The tension is nuclear. The night of the event arrives. The main event is Roman vs Seth. The bell rings, and from the start, it's a war. Roman dominates early, ragdolling Seth with power moves, mocking the crowd, basking in their hatred. Seth fights back with fiery resilience, nailing superkicks, suicide dives, and even 2 stomps, but Roman refuses to stay down. The match builds to its climax. Seth hits a 3rd stomp. The crowd counts 1, 2. Roman kicks out. The arena shakes. Seth can't believe it. He screams at the referee. Roman slowly rises, eyes blazing, and unleashes a final onslaught: Superman punch, spear, and then another spear. 1, 2, 3. The boos are deafening. Roman Reigns has beaten Seth Rollins clean in the middle of the ring. Seth collapses, devastated. The commentary screams. Roman Reigns is back on top of WWE. The tribal chief has returned, and he's destroyed Seth Rollins once and for all. Roman grabs the mic, breathing heavy, sweat pouring down his face. He looks into the camera and delivers the final dagger. "I told you, I don't need a bloodline. I am the bloodline. Raw belongs to me. WWE belongs to me. And you will all acknowledge me." He drops the mic. The camera pans to Seth Rollins, broken, lifeless, staring into the void as Roman Reigns stands tall once again. The show fades to black. Closing beat: September 29, 2025 wasn't just the night Roman Reigns returned. It was the night he reminded the WWE Universe why he's the most dominant force of the modern era. No allies. No family. Just Roman, standing alone, destroying Seth Rollins, and reclaiming WWE as his empire. The WWE Universe was already shaken to its very core after the shocking return of Roman Reigns and the reformation of the OTC. But what unfolded next on Raw after September 29, 2025, was beyond anything fans could have ever imagined. The closing moments of that night weren't just a storyline twist. They were the beginning of a hostile takeover. Roman Reigns had returned, but this wasn't the same tribal chief the fans had been forced to acknowledge for years. This wasn't the slow, calculated manipulator who built an empire in SmackDown's main event scene. No, this was something far darker. This Roman Reigns was fueled by resentment, rage, and a hunger to reclaim not just his throne, but the entire company. The beatdown of Seth Rollins in the main event was just the opening shot. The new OTC, made up of Roman Reigns, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, and the shocking returning Jacob Fatu, left the visionary broken in the ring. The crowd was screaming, booing, some even cheering, but no one in the arena could sit still. They had just witnessed an ambush that looked less like pro wrestling and more like a declaration of war. And then, Roman picked up the microphone. He looked down at Rollins, battered and barely moving, before turning his eyes to the camera. His voice, low and cold, pierced through the noise of the arena. "You thought I was gone. You thought I was finished. You thought you could build this place without me. But Raw, SmackDown, WWE itself, it exists because I allow it to exist. And now the true kings of this business are back." The arena exploded. Fans were in disbelief. Social media went wild. In just a matter of minutes, Roman Reigns had flipped WWE on its head, leaving more questions than answers. And the most dangerous part? The show went off the air with Roman's smirk, leaving the entire world wondering what came next. But what nobody realized at that moment was just how calculated that ending was. Roman had orchestrated everything. He chose September 29, 2025, not just to make his return, but to make his point crystal clear: WWE without Roman Reigns is chaos, WWE with Roman Reigns is domination, and no one is safe. The next week on Raw, the fallout was immediate. The commentary team tried to piece together the events, but the footage replayed over and over Roman leading the OTC to dismantle Seth Rollins, the fans screaming, the moment Jacob Fatu stepped foot into a WWE ring for the first time. That replay became the most watched clip on WWE's YouTube channel in under 24 hours. The wrestling world had been shaken awake. Backstage reports started flooding in. Wrestlers were furious. Management was panicking. And the locker room was divided. Some superstars quietly whispered that Roman was right, that the company had grown weaker in his absence, that leadership had been scattered, that Rollins' faction wasn't strong enough to hold the line. Others were enraged, calling Roman a parasite who only cared about control. And then came the shocker: Roman Reigns wasn't stopping at Raw. The following Friday on SmackDown, the OTC made their presence felt again. The Usos, who had been fractured and distant since Roman's absence, found themselves face to face with the new empire. The crowd went silent, waiting to see if bloodline ties would pull them back into Roman's grasp, or if they'd stand against him. But before anything could be decided, chaos broke out. Roman's OTC didn't hesitate. They attacked both Usos, sending them crashing through barricades, steel steps, and tables. Roman stood tall, holding the Universal title belt high, not because he was the champion, but because he was claiming it as his again. It didn't matter who officially held the belt. Roman was sending a message: the throne still belonged to him. And here's where it got even more insane. Seth Rollins wasn't sitting back. Raw the next week saw Rollins limping to the ring, bruised and broken, but holding a microphone with a fire in his eyes. He called Roman out, his voice cracking with both anger and determination. "You think you can just walk back in here and take everything again? You think you can run this place with your goons, your thugs, your little army? Roman, I built this place while you were gone. I carried Raw, I carried WWE on my back while you were sitting at home. You want war? You got it." The crowd went insane. Rollins versus Roman wasn't just a match anymore. It was a battle for control of WWE itself. Rollins wasn't alone, though. Slowly, week by week, his faction began to rebuild. Cody Rhodes stepped forward, vowing to stand beside Rollins. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn threw their names into the fight, promising to finish what the Bloodline had started years ago. Suddenly, WWE wasn't just about championships anymore. It was about survival. And every week, Raw and SmackDown turned into battlegrounds. Roman and the OTC wreaked havoc, destroying segments, ambushing superstars, sending messages. Rollins and his allies struck back, fighting tooth and nail, never backing down. The WWE Universe was locked in, glued to every second, desperate to see who would come out on top. But Roman had one more ace up his sleeve. He had one more surprise that nobody saw coming, something that would push the story into levels of chaos never seen before. A new name, a shocking betrayal, a twist that would leave the world gasping. And when it happened, WWE fans would never look at Raw the same way again. Because this wasn't just about the return of Roman Reigns. This was about the rebirth of dominance, the resurrection of terror, and the undeniable truth that when Roman reigns, everyone else falls.